प्रहिणोति तस्मै तं हदेवमात्मबुद्धिप्रकाशम् मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्मविद्या संप्रदायकर्तृभ्यो वंश ऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। सर्वोपप्लवरहितः प्रज्ञानघनः प्रत्यगर्थो ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि। वेदान्तार्थविभासकाय गुरवे शान्ताय सन्न्यासिने नानावादी नगेन्द्रसङ्घपवये योगीन्द्रवन्द्याय च मोहध्वान्तदिवाकराय भगवत्पादाभिधां बिभ्रते तस्मै भाष्यकृते नमोऽस्तु सततम् पूर्णाय बोधात्मने। ब्रह्माहं यत्प्रसादेन मयि विश्वं प्रकल्पितम् श्रीमत्स्वयं प्रकाशाख्यं प्रणौमि जगतां गुरुम्। यः परमात्मा जगत्सृष्ट्वा प्रविवेश पुनः स्वयं तं कृष्णं प्रत्यगात्मानं वन्दे गोपी मनोहरम्। यस्य प्रसादादहमद्वयात्मा विश्वं समस्तं मयि कल्पितं च तं सर्वलोकैकगुरुं सदाश्री स्वयं प्रकाशं गुरुमानतोऽस्मि। गुरूणां चरणां भोजं प्रणिपत्य निरन्तरम् तत्कृपादेशतो द्वैत चिन्ताकौस्तुभमारभे। So the very purpose of explaining elaborately about Vaishwanara and Hiranyagarbha is so that one understands the first and foremost purpose is one understands. It is Ishvara alone who now, along with the conditioning of Maya, when the conditioning of Maya expands or expresses as the total subtlety, will be called as Hiranyagarbha. When that Ishvara, meaning consciousness with the conditioning of Maya, and already expressing as total subtlety, further expresses as total grossness, samashti, sthula. then this Ishvara alone is called as Vaishvanara. Therefore, it is not that there are these three, Ishvara, Hiranyagarbha and Vaishvanara. Just as the same person, when is having the conditioning only of ignorance, this same consciousness, individual consciousness, in the sense, consciousness with the conditioning of individuality. There is nothing like individual consciousness. Consciousness with the conditioning of individuality. And over here, it is the individual ignorance. So when the ignorance is the only conditioning, then he alone is called as prash. When that ignorance now becomes this subtle body, is called as Taijasa. And when further the conditioning expands and becomes the gross body, now this consciousness is called as Vishwa. So in this case also, Prajna, Taijasa and Vishwa are not three persons or anything, or three entities. It is just one, like that Ishvara, Hiranyagarbha and Vaishvanara. Now, when this fact is understood, there is yet one more purpose behind this discussion, and that is the Upasana. This is a very, very important part in the spiritual life, which very often gets ignored. This Upasana, just a second. This Upasana is extremely important part of spiritual life. This is basically meditation. And now this meditation has its own result. When you're just simply going to say meditation, it has got more aspects to it. And these aspects a person needs to know only when initiated in that particular Upasana through the tradition by the teacher. Something has entered the eye. By the teacher. Now, here the author says that because our understanding that it is Paramatma alone who is expressing as Hiranyagarbha and Vaishvanara, the Upasana is also possible. Okay? The Upasana is possible. And he yesterday explained some part of that Upasana. Now further, yesterday we saw a little hint about the Upasana of this Vaishvanara. Now, he is going to show us a little more, and therefore on page number 100, go to the original text. Sa eva Paramatma samashti sukshma sharira tatkarana mayopahita san hiranyagarbha iti uchyate. Etasya upasanaya tat prapti phalam bhavati. Sa eva paramatma. This Paramatma alone. So now there is no question as is this Hiranyagarbha anything different from Ishvara? It is Ishvara alone. Okay, Ishvara alone. But when you are going to say Ishvara, it means the conditioning is that of Samashti Karana. When you are going to say Hiranyagarbha, the conditioning Samashti Karana now has started expressing. Karana means cause. That cause has started expressing its effect. And what is the effect? The first effect over here is the total subtle body. So thus samashti sukshma sharira tat karana mayopahitaha with the upadhi of maya will be called as Hiranyagarbha. When the person meditates upon this Hiranyagarbha as this is what I am Hiranyagarbha, the total experiencer. When he thus meditates upon that Hiranyagarbha like that, he discovers oneness and attains Hiranyagarbha. I alone am seeing through the eyes of everyone. I alone am hearing from the ears of everyone. Whether it is a whale that is sending out the signal and is heard by another whale very far off, yet it is the sound which is heard, and therefore it is the function of the Shravanendriya. I alone am seated and even listening to that. Everything I alone listen. And thus he discovers himself to be Hiranyagarbha, the total experiencer. This is said. Etadupasanaya tat prapti phalam bhavati. Okay. Now, saying that much is the only line from the original text. So now, the author, becoming the commentator, on the page number 103, the last line, Hiranyagarbha Swarupam Aha. He says, in the original text, he explains what is the nature of Hiranyagarbha. What is the nature of Hiranyagarbha? Meaning, when we are going to say the word Hiranyagarbha, what is it that should be understood or that will be understood? Hiranyagarbha Swarupam Aha Sa Eva Iti. Shruti Ukta Gunopetap Sutratma Hiranyagarbho Aham Asmiti Upasakasya Tad Bhavapatti Phalam Aha Etaditi. Now the next line, which is talking about the upasana of Hiranyagarbha, meditation on Hiranyagarbha. It is not one day. Remember, upasana is not something that is, 15 minutes you do one day, oh, I've done upasana. It is a proper, dedicated, intense effort for long time till the result arrives. Okay. So here, Shruti Ukta Gunopetaha, just as how the Shruti has shown the Hiranyagarbha to be with certain attributes. What is Hiranyagarbha is also shown by Shruti. And in showing what is this Hiranyagarbha, the Shruti enumerates some attributes. And we have to take into consideration all those attributes when the upasana is being done. And then Sutratma, that Sutratma, because we know Sutratma, Hiranyagarbha, and Prana. All these three words are employed for the same concept. So, Shruti Ukta Gunopeta Sutratma, Hiranyagarbha Ahamasmi. That Hiranyagarbha I am with all the attributes as shown by the Shruti. Ahamasmi iti upasakasya, and then this is the upasana. And when the meditator thus continuously meditates upon the Hiranyagarbha, that bhavapatti, he attains Hiranyagarbha. He discovers himself to be that Hiranyagarbha. Indeed, I am. Indeed, I am. Phalamaha etaditi. Hiranyagarbha upasanaya ityartha. It is through that upasana of Hiranyagarbha. Now, there is a small but rigorous and very interesting exercise over here. And what is that exercise? That the teacher will once again take us through the Brahma Sutra, portion of the Brahma Sutra concerning Hiranyagarbha Upasana. Because two things we have to confirm. One is that it is the same Paramatma expressing as Hiranyagarbha A. This is one thing. The main thing to be understood is this. And the second one is, it is through this upasana, the attributes or the description and the result, we know that it is the same Paramatma expressing as Hiranyagarbha. So in this discussion, the main purpose is to show that Paramatma alone is expressing as Hiranyagarbha. But in the due course, the student is going to be benefited because now he will be introduced to some aspect of upasana. He will be introduced to an aspect of that meditation, practice of meditation. One will have to be initiated into that, okay? Because there is a way of doing it. Now, come on to the page number 104, the top line in the original text, which is printed in bold. Antarupapattehe iti asmin adhikarane सूत्रकार भाष्यकाराभ्याम उपकोशल विद्यायाम तथैव प्रतिपादनात् स एव केवलमायोपाधिकः सनीश्वरः इति उच्यते. So now the first line is about the Hiranyagarbha only. Then we will turn to the next line in the same paragraph. Antara upapattehe. Now there is one portion, because the total volume of Brahma Sutra is of 555 sutras. These sutras are divided in 4 chapters, Every chapter is further divided into 4 sub-chapters. So 4 adhyayas. Every adhyaya has got 4 padas. Every pada has got several adhikaranas, topics. Very, very organized and very interesting. You know, these topics are topics of of the discussion over there. They are called as the adhikaranas. In every adhikarana, then you have several sutras, sometimes 5, 2, even one sutra can also constitute one singular adhikarana. Nevertheless, now he says there is one adhikarana, there is one topic discussed under one of these sub-chapters. This adhikarana is called as Antara Upapattehe. What is that? Antara Upapatte. In this particular Adhikarana, the Hiranyagarbha Upasana, which comes in the Upanishad as the Upakoshala Vidya. What is it called over there? Upakoshala Vidya. So this Upakoshala, it is when you go through that rigorous discussion in the Antara Upapatte section, which is concerning the Upakoshala Vidya, we understand that Hiranyagarbha is nothing but Ishvara alone, with Maya, of course, as the conditioning, plus the conditioning of Maya further expanding or expressing as the total subtle body. Okay, this is what we understand. So what has allowed you to understand this fact? The discussion over the Upakoshala Vidya. Where does it come? Under the Adhikarana Antara Upapattehe. This Adhikarana is a part of the Brahma Sutra. Got it? Now, we have to, therefore, he is going to take us through a little, what do they call, a trailer, a trailer of that discussion from Brahma Sutra. Okay, now let us go in the commentary part. Hiranyagarbhasya Ishwaratve tad upasakasya tad praptau cha sammatim aha. Now, two things. Hiranyagarbha is nothing but Ishvara only, and he who meditates upon Hiranyagarbha attains Hiranyagarbha. Okay? Attains Hiranyagarbha. Now, this was said. Now, the next line, Antarupapatte, etc., is only giving the sammati, is only showing you the sanction, that it has been sanctioned, it has been shown, it has been endorsed, it has been advocated, propagated by Sutrakara and Bhashyakara Bhagavan. Okay, that Sutrakara Bhashyakara Yam Upakoshala Vidyayam Tathaiva Pratipadanat. Okay. Now, furthermore, samanvaya lakshane sthitam antara upapattehe iti. Where does this come? Under the first chapter. Samanvaya lakshane sthitam. The first chapter of Brahma Sutra is called as Samanvayadhyaya. The second adhyaya, the second chapter, is called as Virodha Pariharadhyaya. The third chapter is called as Sadhanadhyaya. And the fourth chapter is called as Phaladhyaya. Okay, the broad. So under the Samanvayadhyaya, we discover Antara Upapattehe, this Adhikarana over there. And how is that? It is concerning the Upakoshala Vidya. This Upakoshala Vidya is what we understand through the sentences of the Shruti. What is that Shruti? What is that mantra? Here we go. Yesho Shri Purusho Drishyate Esha Atmeti Hovacha Etadamritam Abhayam Etad Brahmeti Tadyadyapi Asmin Sarpirvodakam Vasinchati Vartmani eva gacchati iti shruyate. In this Upakoshala Vidya, it is said the conscious being obtained in the I. Ye esho akshini purusho drishyate. Akshini in the I. It is Saptami. It is the locative case, akshini. So, esho kshini purusho drishyate, the conscious being obtained in the I, esha atma is the atma. Iti hovach, that was what was said. Etadamritam, and this is amritam, means the nectar of immortality. Amritam, abhayam. Abhayam means that which is the freedom from insecurity and fear. Abhayam. Etadamritam abhayam. Etad brahmeti is Brahman. Tadyadyapi asmin sarpirvodakam vasinchati vartmaneva gacchati. If any liquid or anything the a drop of oil or ghee is put into the eye, it does not stay over there. It moves to the side. Vartmani eva gacchati iti shruyate. Now we have to look at this mantra, because this mantra is going to tell us about Hiranyagarbha and the Upasana. Tatra samshaya. Now this is a sentence which occurs in that Upakoshala Vidya. Now, when we look at this particular mantra, there is a doubt which surfaces. What is that doubt? Kimatra akshadikarane upasyattvena upadishyate chayatma uta devatatma ahosvit shariraha kim va parameshwaraha iti. Now, that being who is being told to us to meditate upon, that conscious being who is being told to us to meditate upon, and how, who is obtained in the I, Akshari, who is obtained in the I, is this conscious being, Chayatma, the reflected image. Is that the one that meditate upon the image? And there was this some very funny thing that happened in one of the ashram. So they had invited somebody from outside to teach them a meditation practice. So all these people, then he said that he will tell them to meditate upon the breath. Hmm. So all people came, and they came with some mirrors. They came with mirrors, and when they were just said to meditate, now they all came to mirrors with a little, support at the back. He said, "What are you doing? Why are you keeping mirrors there?" The instructor got a little confused. Why do they need me? So they said that because so that we can see our breath, the chest heaving up and down. The chest heaving up and down is what they would see. And so now over here, the, should one meditate upon this conscious being who is the reflection in the eye, Chayatma. Chaya means the reflection. Is it the Chayatma? Uta Devatatma? Or is this someone who is the presiding deity, who is the presiding deity of the Indriya? Because with his grace, now this eye will be eye, the organ will be able to function. Is he the Devatatma, Ahosvichariraha? Or is it just this experiencer who's experiencing colors and forms through these eyes? So obviously the Jiva. So now how many options have you found over here? First one, Chayatma. What was said by the sentence of the Upanishad? The conscious being who is obtained in the eye. So obviously, if you are going to be looking at someone, now this person, now his image will be reflected in the eye, and he is a conscious being. So should one meditate upon that reflected image of the person, or should one meditate upon the Devata who is presiding over the organ? Or is it the experiencer, Jiva, or is it Parmeshwara? So now we have these four things had come up the moment it was said the conscious being obtained in the eye. The moment when this was said, these were the various options which immediately surfaced when the words were uttered. Now, what exactly should we be meditating upon? What should you be meditating upon? So now the nirnaya, the judgment has to be given. has to be given. So here further we go. Tatra drishyate iti nirdeshat ayatma upasyattvena upadishyate iti praptam tasya eva chakshu sannidhanat. So the first person says, Sir, this seems to be the Chayatma only. Who is this? The one who is obtained in the eye is the reflection alone. And that is what we are told to meditate upon. Why are you saying that? Because the word is used, drishyate, is seen. So I have translated the word as obtained. The one who is seen in the eye. So I translated it to the one who is obtained in the eye. So the one, yeah, the small mosquitoes flying on the. So the one who is obtained in the eye is said as the one who is seen. The one who is seen. Okay. So tatra drishyate iti nirdeshat, because the word used is tatra drishyate, is seen there. There means in the eye. Now, seen there, what is seen? So, if you are going to look into somebody's eye, then obviously you are going to find your reflection over there. Similarly, his reflection will be there in the other person's eye, and therefore now it is the reflected person that should be meditated upon, is what the first person's claim is. Tasyaiva chakshu sandhana, that is what is immediately there in the eye. Athava, so the second person says, Sir, it could be Devatatma. It could be the presiding deity, Devatatma. Indriya anugrahakatvena sannihitatvat. It is because he is the one who will bless the eye, or through his authority. Now this eye, the organ, becomes functional, and therefore tasya eva anugrahakatvena sannihitatvat. He does the anugraha for the eye to function, and hence we are able to understand. This gives us the facility to understand presence of Devata in the eye. This gives us the facility to understand the presence of that particular deity in the eye. And this is what we are asked to meditate upon. Not the reflection, but the Devata. So now the third one has to come up. Yadva Shariraha Syar. Sir, it must be the experiencer, the Jiva only. Tasyapi Karanaswamitvena Jagradavasthayam Chakshu Visheshataha Sannihitatvat. Because why are you saying it should be the Jiva, Shariraha? Jiva means Shariraha. Tasyapi Karanaswamitvena, because he is the master of that organ in this body. And not only that, in the waking state, he claims, I am experiencing the world of colors and forms through the eye. So, Karanaswamitvena, it is for his sake that these Karanas now function. Karanaswamitvena Jagradavasthayam Chakshu Visheshataha Sannihtatvat is thus over here. He is obtained over there in the eye. Who? The Jiva. And therefore, the Jiva alone should be meditated upon. That is what is said. What is meant, not said, what is meant. What is said is just meditate upon the being obtained in the eye. That was what was said. By that sentence, what is implied, what is meant, is being discussed. Tatreva Atma Shabdasyapi Mukhyatvad evam Nishchite Sati Amritatvadikam Sharire Yatha Kathanchit Yojaniyam Tasmad Shariraha Upasyo Natu Parameshwaraha. Now, so also when we use the word self, Atma, where does it go? Does it not mean the experience of myself? I myself am experiencing. I myself will do that. I myself will go. When you're going to use the word self, it directly means I, Atma. And therefore, Mukhyatvad, since this is there, the word Atma was also used in the original Shruti, in that mantra of the Veda Upanishad. Then, because of this word Atma being there, it also allows us to understand that the one who is meant by the Shruti is the Jiva. And whatever else has been said is the very nectar of immortality, etc., that you can put it. Somehow you will be able to accommodate those things as the praise, like when you tell your girlfriend or your wife or someone, if you say, if you're romantic enough, oh well, you are sweeter than the rose, beautiful than the moon. When you're saying all these things, does this mean that sweeter than the honey or something? Then are you going to pack her in a bottle? So that no, nothing. It is a praise. It is just a praise. Like that, Yatha Kathanchit Yojaniyam, when it is said this Jiva is Amritatvam, etc., you put it over there like that, as if it is some praise of the Jiva. Yatha Kathanchit Yojaniyam. And therefore now, this is, don't forget it, this is all Purva Paksha. Tasmat Sharira Upasyo Natu Parameshwaraha. And therefore now we are in a way forced to understand, forced in the sense we can accept that the one to be meditated upon is the Jiva, is the Jiva. So therefore, now how many options had come up in this Vidya? One, was the reflection, Chayatma, Devatatma. Then the third one is Jiva, and the fourth one is Ishvara, Parameshvara. With all these things, we understand it can be any of these three, but not Parameshvara. The Purva Paksha, the opponent, has a argument to present. He says these are the three, and therefore not Parameshvara. Iti. Evam prapte brumah akshistane Parameshvara eva upasyattvena nirdishyate na chayadihi. Now, having come up to this point, the Siddhanti says, no, sir, none of these three, but it is Parameshvara alone. Kasmad, how do you say that it is Parameshvara and not anything else? Vakyasheshagata Sayyadvamatva Vamanitva Hamanitva Amritattvadi Gunajatasya Parameshvaraha eva upapatte Parameshvara eva upapatte iti itaratra asambhava. Because whatever in the rest of the sentence which we have not seen, there are certain attributes mentioned over there. Now you cannot, by looking at the attributes of the person to be meditated upon in the I, who is obtained in the I, he says that these attributes are not so common that you can easily say that it belongs to this Jiva or Devata or the Chayatma. All these attributes indicate only Parameshvara. Indicate only Parameshvara. Ityatra, itaratra asambhava. Therefore, it is impossible to see them applied anywhere else. Asambhava. Now we have to see this in a little detail. And this is an exercise so that you also understand the Upasana, get a glimpse of it, a little trailer of it, and then maybe by God's grace, if this is what you are intended, you also may also do the Upasana, because without doing the Upasana till its final result, a person does not become fit for understanding Vedanta. You know, do not simply underestimate that, we will go to some class and then we will understand some physics and mathematics like that. Just know, this is Vedanta. This culminates into experience. This does not culminate into understanding a concept. No, sir. It culminates into experience. This knowledge does not remain as a concept or anything. It is an experience. I am is an experience. And therefore, this is extremely sacred knowledge. Let us not treat it anything less than that. Well, we will stop for the day at this point and come back again to that Vakya Shesha, to the rest of the sentence, which allows us to know that this Upasana is of Parameshwar as Hiranyagarbha. Okay, we will come to that. Brahmam yat prasadena mai vishvam prakalpitam श्रीमत् स्वयं प्रकाशाख्यं प्रणौमि जगतां गुरु। यः परमात्मा जगत् सृष्ट्वा प्रविवेश पुनः स्वयं तं कृष्णं प्रत्यगात्मानं वन्दे गोपी मनोहरम्। यस्य प्रसादादहमद्वयात्मा विश्वं मयि कल्पितं च तं सर्वलोकैकगुरुं सदा श्री स्वयं प्रकाशं गुरुमस्मि। गुरूणां चरणां भोजं प्रणिपत्य निरन्तरं तत्कृपालेशतो द्वैत चित्ताकौस्तुभमारभ्य। ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। शंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। Mahadev. Thank you all. Thank